Hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today. You know, life has a funny way of teaching us lessons, and sometimes it whispers, but other times it slaps you right across the face. Pause for laughter today. I want to talk about something that doesn't get addressed enough, especially among women, dreamers, and people pleasers. The title of this talk is simple: Stop being too friendly. Yes, you heard me. Stop being too friendly. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking you to be rude. I'm not telling you to be cold or cruel or to stop smiling at strangers. But I am saying, stop handing out pieces of yourself like free samples. Because not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone earns your warmth. You see, I grew up in a world where I was constantly told to be nice, to be sweet, to not be too loud. And for a while, I played along. I was accommodating. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I gave my time, my attention, even my dreams away, just to make people comfortable. But let me tell you something. Comforting others at the cost of your own peace is not kindness. It's self-abandonment. There's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. There's a line between generosity and self-sacrifice. And if you don't draw that line, trust me, no one else will. We've been taught that likability is currency. That being friendly will open doors, but here's what I've learned. It's not your smile that earns you respect. It's your standards, it's your no, it's your boundaries, it's your courage to say, I matter too. Being too friendly can look like over-apologizing, like laughing at jokes that aren't funny, like staying silent when your soul is screaming. And slowly, without even realizing it, you disappear, you shrink. But you weren't born to shrink. You were born to stand tall, to take up space, to speak your truth, not whisper it, to show up in the world as your full, complex, unapologetic self. So if this message hits close to home, if you've ever felt like you're giving too much, bending too far, or losing sight of who you are just to be liked, let this be your wake-up call. You don't need to be everyone's favorite. You need to be your own hero. Let go of the need to be liked by all and start building a life that's loved by you. Because when you stop being too friendly and start being real, that's when the right people show up. That's when the magic happens. We often grow up with the belief that being kind means always saying yes, always smiling, always being available, and always putting others before ourselves. Kindness is a beautiful trait. It builds bridges, opens hearts, and spreads warmth in a world that deeply needs it. But somewhere along the way, the line between being kind and abandoning ourselves starts to blur. That's where the problem begins. When we begin to associate kindness with self-sacrifice, we start to lose sight of our own needs. We start saying yes when every fiber of our being is screaming no. We bite our tongue, swallow our truth, and play small just to keep the peace. We confuse pleasing others with being good, and in that process we often silence our own voice. This is not kindness. It's self-abandonment. True kindness starts from within. It means being kind to yourself first. It means respecting your own boundaries, valuing your own time, and honoring your own emotions. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot truly be kind to others when you are constantly depleting yourself. When your own needs are ignored or dismissed for the sake of someone else's comfort, it builds resentment, exhaustion, and eventually, a deep sense of invisibility. People often don't notice when you're giving too much because you've trained them not to. You've made it easy for others to expect your constant availability. You've made it normal to be okay with everything, even when you're not. That's not sustainable, that's not healthy, and that's not love for them or for yourself. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not always be agreeable. It's okay to step back, to pause, to take care of yourself first. This doesn't make you selfish, it makes you whole. The truth is, your kindness loses its power when it's fueled by guilt or fear of rejection. But when it's rooted in strength, in self-awareness, in clarity, that's when it becomes unstoppable. The world doesn't need more people, pleasers. It needs people who are brave enough to be kind without betraying themselves. It needs kindness that comes from a place of truth, not obligation. You can be a good person and still have firm boundaries. You can be compassionate and still protect your peace. You can be warm and loving without letting yourself be walked over. So the next time you feel the urge to say yes just to avoid disappointing someone, take a breath and ask yourself, am I being kind or am I abandoning myself? because the two are not the same. And you, my dear, deserve a life where your kindness includes you too. There's a common misconception that being liked is the same as being respected. We're taught to be agreeable, to keep things smooth, to avoid confrontation. And often, we believe that if we're just nice enough, if we're friendly enough, people will respect us. But here's the truth: respect isn't earned through friendliness. It's earned through boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They're not meant to shut people out. They're more like fences with gates. You decide who comes in, how far they go, and when it's time for them to leave. When you have clear boundaries, you send a message to the world: I value myself, I know my limits, I know what I will and will not tolerate, and that's powerful. Without boundaries, people assume they can take more. Not always out of malice often, it's because we've never shown them otherwise. We teach others how to treat us by what we allow. So if we keep letting our time be disrespected, our emotions be overlooked, or our presence be taken for granted, we're indirectly saying, this is okay. And it's not. Being overly friendly, constantly available, or afraid to speak up doesn't make people admire you. It often makes them comfortable taking advantage of you. The irony is, the more you try to please everyone, the less they value your presence. That's why boundaries are essential, not only for your mental and emotional health, but for how the world sees you. It takes courage to draw a line and say, this is where I stand. It takes confidence to say no without over-explaining. But every time you do that, you reinforce your sense of self-worth. You show that your kindness is not weakness, that your time is not infinite, that your love and energy are not to be taken lightly. Some people won't like your boundaries. That's okay. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them question. The ones who genuinely care about you will adjust because they respect you, and those who don't, you're better off without them in your inner circle anyway. Respect is rooted in clarity. People respect what is consistent, what is firm, what doesn't shift with every gust of pressure. So when you say no, mean it. When you communicate a limit, honor it. It's not about being harsh, it's about being grounded. Friendliness might get your foot in the door, but it's your boundaries that build the house. They shape your relationships, your career, your peace of mind. So the next time you're tempted to overextend yourself just to seem nice, remember, your boundary is not a burden. It's a declaration of who you are, what you deserve, and how you expect to be treated. And trust me, nothing is more magnetic than a person who knows their worth and protects it. One of the most freeing lessons you can learn in life is that not everyone deserves access to you. Your energy, your time, your presence, these are not unlimited resources. Yet so many of us give them away far too easily, thinking it's the polite thing to do or that it keeps relationships smooth. But being generous with your energy doesn't mean giving it to anyone and everyone who asks for it. It means choosing wisely. It means protecting your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Every time you say yes to someone who drains you, you're saying no to yourself, no to rest, no to your priorities. No to the things that actually light you up. And the truth is, not everyone has the capacity or the intention to treat your energy with respect. Some people are only around when they need something. Others want your presence, but not your growth. And a few will expect you to constantly be available while offering nothing in return. If you don't recognize and limit that, you'll eventually burn out, not because you're not strong enough, but because you didn't set limits soon enough. It's not about being suspicious of everyone, but about being selective. It's okay to ask yourself, does this person uplift me? Do I feel lighter or heavier after spending time with them? Do they listen as much as they speak? Are they invested in me or just in what I can do for them? These questions aren't selfish, they're necessary. They help you separate the people who truly value you from the ones who simply use you. The people who genuinely care about you won't mind your boundaries. They won't guilt you for needing space or for not responding instantly or for choosing yourself. In fact, the right people will respect you even more for protecting your energy, because when you do, you show that you have self-respect. You show that your love and attention are valuable, that you're not just handing it out like candy on Halloween to anyone who knocks on your door. This mindset isn't about closing off your heart, it's about strengthening your foundation. It's about making sure that when you give, it comes from a full place, not a fractured one. You deserve to surround yourself with people who see your worth and treat your time like it matters. People who don't just consume your light, but also reflect it back. So, stop feeling guilty for walking away from people who no longer align with your peace. Stop apologizing for not being available 24/7. You are allowed to be intentional with who gets to be in your space. Your energy is your currency. Spend it where it grows, not where it's drained. And remember, the more you honor your value, the more you'll attract people who do the same. When you're constantly being too friendly, always agreeable, always accommodating, you slowly start to lose yourself. It doesn't happen all at once. It's subtle. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay quiet when something bothers you. You smile even when you're uncomfortable, and over time, those small acts of self-betrayal start to add up. You begin to disappear. At first, it might seem like you're just being polite, like you're keeping the peace or being nice. But what you're really doing is prioritizing everyone else's comfort over your own truth. You're shrinking yourself to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. And in doing so, you silence the very things that make you unique. Your opinions, your needs, your boundaries, your voice. People might praise you for being easygoing, or chill, or such a good listener, and you might wear that praise like a badge of honor, but deep down, there's often a sense of disconnection. You start to question if people really know you at all, because how could they? You've been hiding behind the mask of friendliness for so long that even you might forget who you really are when no one else is watching. The truth is, being too friendly often stems from a fear of rejection. We think that if we rock the boat, if we say what we actually feel, people won't like us. So we water ourselves down. We laugh at jokes that don't land. We accept treatment that doesn't feel right. And we convince ourselves that this is what it means to be a good person. But goodness isn't about disappearing. It's about showing up fully and honestly. Disappearing doesn't protect your relationships. It weakens them, because real connection can only happen when you're seen for who you actually are. If you're always performing a version of yourself that's palatable to others, then what you have isn't connection. It's just compliance, and that kind of living is exhausting. Eventually, the weight of always being too nice becomes too much to carry. The resentment builds, the exhaustion sets in, and you realize that in trying to make everyone else happy, you've made yourself invisible. That's not friendship, that's not love, that's not living. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to have boundaries. You deserve to take up space, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. The world doesn't need another version of you that's watered down and worn out. It needs you, your full self, with opinions, needs, flaws, and fire. So stop trying to be someone else's idea of nice. Start being your own definition of whole. When you stop being too friendly and start being honest, you don't lose yourself. You finally begin to return to who you were always meant to be, and that version of you. That's the one worth showing the world. You were not born to blend in, to stay quiet, or to minimize yourself for the comfort of others. You were born to take up space, boldly, unapologetically, and fully. But somewhere along the journey, many of us are taught to shrink. We're told to tone it down, to not be too loud, too confident, too opinionated. We're told to be likable instead of powerful, agreeable instead of authentic. And so we begin to dim our own light just to make others feel more comfortable around us. Taking up space isn't just about being seen physically. It's about showing up in conversations with your thoughts, in relationships with your truth, and in the world with your full presence. It means allowing yourself to be heard without constantly guessing whether you're saying too much. It means standing firmly in your values, your boundaries, and your needs without feeling guilty for them. You have a right to exist fully without apology. Often, we associate being humble with being invisible, as though confidence and humility can't coexist. But humility isn't about denying your worth. It's about knowing it so deeply that you don't have to prove it. When you take up space, you're not saying you're better than anyone else. You're simply saying, I belong here too. And that message, when owned with quiet confidence, can be incredibly powerful. The fear of being too much is one of the biggest reasons people stay small. We worry that if we speak up too often, we'll be labeled as difficult. If we ask for what we need, we'll be seen as needy. If we take the lead, we'll be seen as intimidating. But playing small doesn't protect you from judgment. It only guarantees that you'll never be truly seen. And you can't build a meaningful life by constantly making yourself smaller to fit into spaces that weren't designed for your fullness. There will always be people who are uncomfortable with your presence, your voice, or your ambition. That discomfort is not your responsibility. You are not required to make yourself less just so others can feel more. The right people, the ones who truly see you, will never ask you to be smaller than you are. In fact, they'll celebrate you for taking up space. When you begin to step into your power, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage gives others permission to stop shrinking too. It creates a ripple effect, because one person standing tall often makes it safer for others to rise. So let your voice be heard. Take up space in every room you walk into. Sit at the table like you deserve to be there, because you do. The world doesn't need a quieter version of you. It needs the real you, the whole you, the version that's done apologizing for existing. You weren't born to hide, you were born to be seen. Own it. When you stop trying to be liked by everyone and start being your authentic self, something remarkable happens. The right people begin to find you. For so long, many of us are conditioned to seek approval. We mold ourselves to fit in, adjust our personalities to match expectations, and say what we think others want to hear. We become masters of politeness, compromise, and charm, thinking that the more agreeable we are, the more we'll be